for being here today.
Sure. I'm super excited to be here, Amber. Of course, I love everything you do. And this is just, yeah, it's great. I'm excited to be here.
We're going to have a fun chat today. Where are you located
Yes.
again?
So I live in Chattanooga, Tennessee, which is exactly halfway between Nashville and Atlanta. So it's 2 hours from Nashville, 2 hours from Atlanta. So a little
The best of
mountainous at the
everything.
base. Yes, it's kind of at the base of the Appalachian Mountains. So we have lots of mountains here. And lots of like
Yes.
whitewater rafting and like fun stuff like that. So it's really beautiful.
It is beautiful. I went to school in Nashville and
Oh
we would
yeah,
go
that's right. So did
rafting.
I. Yes.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
we would go rafting over there in that area,
Yes.
and it was so beautiful
Yes.
just to get
Yes.
away.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I always forget
That's
about that
so fun.
connection. Yes. You went to
I know.
Belmont, right?
That's right.
Correct. And I went to
I did.
Vanderbilt. So
Yes.
yes. And then I lived in Nashville up until 2 years ago. So Chattanooga is kind of new for us, but yeah, but it's
Yeah.
going good.
Something new adventures.
Yes.
I love
Yes.
it.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to. That's how I'm trying to think of it.
I love that.
Yeah.
You are very adventurous, and I'm
Yes.
excited to learn from you today and your new adventures you've been on. You are a health coach, and also you've created the energy boosters to help women,
Yes.
female business owners. And how did this come together? What was your motivation behind creating this?
Yeah. Well, I think there's so much out there for like if you want like just a specific workout, or if you want to follow like a workout routine. I mean, there's plenty of apps around nutrition and exercise, so I don't need to like recreate, and it's good stuff, I mean, some of it's better than others obviously, but I don't need to recreate the wheel. I mean, I've done personal training in the past, health coaching to your point, but what I found, well, I heard something one time where someone said how keeping a promise to yourself helps you build confidence. So it made me realize that women, like especially I work with women, that women often have these health and wellness goals that they want to work on, but they don't really share those goals with anybody. They make a goal, but it's just like inside their brain, right? Like only they know their goal. And so if they don't achieve that goal, nobody knows but themselves, right? And we think that doesn't affect us, or a lot of people may think that. Some people may be a little more aware and realize that does affect us. But I feel like not only does it negatively affect our confidence or woman's confidence when she basically breaks a promise to herself. And that can be around anything, but obviously I'm in like the health and wellness space. So it also continues that cycle that a lot of women unfortunately have in their head of like, I'm going to do X, I'm going to make something up. I'm going to start a walking program on Monday. And then Thursday rolls around and they haven't started walking. And so, or maybe it's a few weeks later, they come to this realization that they haven't followed through. And it's this cycle of like, I knew I couldn't do it. I don't know why I even tried. And then they're back up at the top of the cycle or the circle again. And it just keeps repeating itself. I mean, you can see that with people that do, I am going to answer your question in a minute too, but you can see, this is how this all came about though, because you can see that happen with like the whole like New Year's resolution thing, right? Like people make the same resolution year after year after year. So I really thought a lot about this, and I realized, or I believe, that sort of the secret sauce or the big secret sauce is accountability. And so that was why I created this group. I was like, Amber, you can come into this group and maybe you're trying to start a yoga practice. Maybe I come into this group and I'm trying to eat more fruits and vegetables. Maybe Susie comes into the group and she's working on stress management techniques, that sort of thing. So we all kind of have these health and wellness goals that, again, I don't need to recreate the wheel around like you may go to a local yoga studio or you have an app you like to follow. I don't need to be your yoga teacher. What I need to do is create a support group basically
to get where, you to your yoga class.
Yes, we're like, I mean, I may be at the head of it, which is kind of goes back to like my 15 years of health coaching experience where I realized a lot of that, yes, it was giving some advice, but a lot of it was just time management, like how do I fit in the yoga class? How do I make that work with my kids' schedule and my podcast schedule, working my business? Like, how do I make that fit? So it really is kind of breaking down these big sort of what I like to call hairy, scary goals into small baby steps, which is not sexy. So I always say it's not, it really
Right.
isn't. It is not like
Disclaimer.
it is,
It is.
disclaimer, it is not sexy. I
Yep.
mean, the baby steps day after day after day, it's not sexy, but then 5 years down the road, you don't even recognize yourself in a good way, you know?
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
and I call it energy boosters because I feel like when we, or I believe, when we improve our health, and we feel better, we have more energy. And
Yeah.
energy is really everything, right? Like your life is better when you're more energized. You're a better mom, I would guess. You're a better employee, a better spouse. You just enjoy, you can go out and do
Yeah.
those things you want to do instead of staying at home in bed because you're tired. And
Yep.
obviously, there can be a lot that goes into fatigue. We won't even go down that road. But I feel like, taking positive steps in health and wellness goals, is one way that one can improve energy. And so it's basically an accountability group for health and wellness goals, but with the overall belief, strong core belief that as you improve your health and wellness, your energy will improve because you're just going to feel better, and more
Yeah.
energized and energetic and that sort of thing. So
Yeah. And I
that's how
love the
that came
name.
about.
It's genius and so needed. You're right. Because everybody has a unique way that they want to be able to fuel their body or move their
Right.
body. And
Right.
so, but it's actually getting to the gym or getting to
Yes.
the yoga studio or
Yes.
making that commitment
Meal prep
happen.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. We
Yes.
can
All
all like
that.
make a plan, but it's
Yes.
having that accountability and that boost. And
Yes.
I love it's been so inspiring to see how you have really stepped into, I think it was 2 years ago that we got to meet in person on a
Yes.
retreat
Yes. Yes. I
and
can't
for
believe it's been that long ago,
ourselves.
or
I know.
almost. Yeah. Almost
Yeah,
2 years
time
ago, I
flies.
think.
And we met and we're talking about, we had similar backgrounds with health
Yeah.
coaching, but also realizing how strong the habit stacking is,
Yes.
the need
Yes.
for women to actually make it
Yes.
happen. And so it's been
Yes.
so cool to see how you have built this business and this amazing community for women, and that you are using all of your strengths, that you
Yes.
are taking everything that you makes you unique and
Right.
you are bringing it together, and that makes it so powerful for the women
Right.
in that energy booster group. That's
Right. Right.
why do you feel like it's so, what's the drive behind it? Why is it so important to you to see women having that accountability and that support? What do you think the difference is there?
Um, like, why is it important to me personally?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why it brings me energy? That's a
Yeah.
great
Yep.
question. I think because I'm just an advocate for women, especially
Yeah.
women. So I tend to focus more on women over 40, high achieving women over 40. You might be a business owner yourself, or maybe you're just in a, high achieving type position at your
Yeah.
job. And it's like we always put ourselves last. And I don't know why. I'm not a mother. I should say that up front. I think it happens a lot with mothers, and it makes sense, right? Like, you have tiny humans you have to make sure stay alive, right?
Right.
Right. I mean, you can speak to that, Amber. So
Yep.
I can only imagine what that must feel like. But at the end of the day, if you don't take care of you, guess what? Those tiny humans aren't going to flourish.
Right.
You're not going to flourish at your job. And I don't know. I don't know what it is. Maybe I need to do some therapy around that.
Yeah.
I just am really passionate about women. It just makes me mad when women don't believe in themselves, when
Yes.
they are like talking about themselves sort of in like a less than kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
It just infuriates me because you have every right as a 40-plus-year-old woman, any woman, but to
Yep.
have space on this earth and be strong and capable and energetic and have an amazing life. We get
Yes.
to do this one time.
Yeah.
And I mean, the older I
Yes.
get, the more I think about that. Like, not trying to be morbid, but it's just true. Like, we get to do
Right.
this one time. So enjoy your life. And
Yes.
part of that enjoyment is being healthy. I recently had a surgery. I don't think I may not have even told you this. Maybe I did.
No.
And it's the first time I've ever been in the hospital. It was a planned surgery, but still. And then I ended up getting an infection. I had to go back into the hospital.
Oh
And I
man.
told my husband, I said, I don't ever want to be in the hospital again. I mean, it just really makes you think about how you want to age,
Yeah.
and aging healthfully. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but, and being strong and powerful and energetic and just healthy. It's not
Yeah.
about the number on the scale or the size of my jeans. It's I want to stay out of the hospital.
Right. Absolutely. I love that goal.
I mean,
I love
I'm just
that
being
goal.
real.
Right? Let's be real here. And that's it. And
It was
like I
eye-opening.
totally agree too with the when we see women and like being apologizing for needing that
Yes.
time for themselves, and
Yes.
instead we can show up unapologetically. It is
Yes.
your right to take care of yourself. It's your body, it's your life, and it's going to make everything better when we're taking care of ourselves, your business, your family, everything.
Yes. Yeah.
And I love the art of, and just learning, and I'm still growing and learning this, but the art of balancing,
Yes.
living that dream life with that dream business, and
Yes.
balancing the two things. And I know you encourage this balance too,
Yes.
with the importance of treating your body well to increase energy and
Yes.
grow profit. So how have you seen that when women are increasing their energy, their business grows? How do you think those two things are connected?
Well, I think, your energy is what attracts people to you. To me, this is a fairly simple answer, to be honest. I think the more energy, like when I talk to people and they see my energy and enthusiasm, that draws people to me and my business, right? Like maybe not initially, right? You got to nurture and educate and then do all the things and have a great product. But I think if people see your energy for a certain subject or product, and then they feel that it's genuine, which it is, then that is going to allow me to be more energetic when I speak, more enthusiastic when I speak, and that is just going to draw people to me and my product or my service or whatever it is I'm offering, and hopefully eventually, become a client or refer me. Maybe it's not for them, but they're talking to a friend that's talking about, being low on energy, and I really want to start. I know I need to start moving my body, but I just don't know. I just can't seem to get it done. Oh, well, my friend Kathy is always talking about, blah, 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 right? So I just think as we feel better, and not only as we feel better, but kind of going back to that, like keeping a promise to yourself, growing your confidence, and that's more just like an internal, that's not really, not really physical, that's mental or whatever. As you grow that confidence, then that increases energy too, which I think is related to physical. You feel better, you start that habit, you keep going. Are you going to have setbacks? Yes, that's where the accountability comes in to keep going even when you have the setbacks, because they're going to happen, right? Like there's never like a perfect time or anything. So as you know, you talk about this all the time. So anyway, but then keeping that promise to yourself, 8 weeks later, now you're walking regularly and you're like, oh my gosh, and you just feel good about yourself.
I did this, right?
Yes, it increases energy. I did this. And then again, that just if you have a product, if you are a business owner, maybe you're a salesperson, whatever, but it attracts people to you because that energy is high and positive,
Yes,
so
that makes sense. And I know on this podcast, we've been talking a lot this year behind the business about the different pieces of the pie, where we have, we have social media, we have podcasting, and we have our product suite and all the different pieces, and that we need all the different pieces to work. And hearing you talk today just makes me think of, in that illustration, it's the energy behind it and how you bring. I always say that you are your biggest asset in your business. How we show up, that's going to propel that whole pie,
drive the
moving
train
forward. Drive the train. Absolutely.
Yeah, because if you think about it, like you're at the center, right? Like like when you're describing that, I'm thinking almost of like a wheel where you're at the center, and there's social media and email marketing and all the things like around the wheel, but you're the center, and and you're kind of emanating that energy, right? And it's going to drive, to your point, the email marketing, the social media, the podcasting, whatever, blogging, whatever it is you're doing, especially think about like in person or virtual, like talks in person, you better bring some energy to that.
Yep, for sure. We just did, Jennifer and I did a live this morning. We were talking about how to prepare for when you're getting away to get it done. And I was talking about for myself, I was looking ahead and realizing I'm going to be out of town the next 3 weekends. I'm going to be seeing hundreds of women, and I need to be able to, like, I always ask myself, what's the one thing that I want to feel when I'm there? And I want to feel energized, is what I told her. So I love that. It's so timely with your podcast today.
Yes, perfect.
Like, I want to feel energized and I want to feel present so I can just be fully engaged in every conversation. And so in order to do that, that's doing the things that we're talking about today.
Right.
And what do you feel like would be the three, like someone listening today and thinking, okay, I want to make sure I'm getting that, taking care of myself and making sure that that's driving the train. What
Yes.
would the top three most important habits or tips that you have for women to help see this
Sure.
outcome?
Okay, so I have two that are a little more woo-woo and one that's like tangible.
We
Okay,
love
so,
woo woo here. This
okay.
is good.
So I mean, I say they're probably not super woo-woo. I'm like, 20% woo-woo.
Right.
This would be a 20% woo-woo
I
response.
love
But anyway, okay. Stop worrying about what other people think. I feel like that is such a huge one, especially for
Yes.
women. Although I will say, I feel like that we start to get over that as we age. We get more comfortable
True.
with like who we are. Most women. So on my podcast, which I mostly just talk to women over 40, one of my questions is always like, what do you like about being over 40? And that's a big one, right? It's just being
Yeah.
more comfortable with yourself and not worrying about what other people think, which I love. And sort of going along with that, this is still number one, is letting go of fear. I feel like fear is such a driver, unfortunate. And I mean, yes, we're obviously going to all have a little bit of that, understandably, right? Like,
Right.
but it's going to keep us safe. But I mean, like fear of failure, fear of not doing it perfectly, quote unquote, that sort of thing. And it's just keeping you from moving forward in life, which leads to number two. It's also keeping you from having fun. I think focusing on fun, again, we only get to do this one time. So have some fun, whether that's building a business that seems like fun to you, because if it doesn't, you're not going to be able to bring energy to it. It's probably not going to be successful. But, having fun with your kids, having fun in your own life. Like my husband and I just recently bought roller skates. We are in our mid to late 40s.
That is
but
amazing.
we do love to be on wheels. I mean, we met through cycling, so there is that.
Yep.
But I don't know. So just have fun, like enjoy your life. Define things that you have never. I had a friend I just talked to that I interviewed yesterday. When she turned 40, she picked 40 things that year to do that she had never done before. And they might not be crazy skydiving, but they were just things for her, right? To keep it fun and just to almost like refresh and reset, right? In her 40th year, which I love that. Okay. And then the tangible one is lift weights and eat enough food, ladies, especially protein. Stop starving yourself and stop being a cardio bunny. Is cardio important? Absolutely. It's for heart health. It's great for mental health. But strength training, as you know, Amber, we lose muscle as we age. There's so many benefits to hanging on to as much muscle as we possibly can. If you want to learn about that, come over to my podcast because I talk about it specifically. But lift weights and please eat enough food. Stop starving yourself. You need food to fuel your body and your brain in order to fuel you for the day, so eat enough food. Okay. Those are my three.
I love those. We could just do a podcast episode on every one of those three.
Oh my gosh.
There's so much there. Those are really helpful, but I love that because it just helps us get started and know what's the first thing. Yeah. And where can people find you? I know you've got an awesome podcast going.
Yes.
And
I didn't even write that on here, actually. I always forget about the podcast because it's still kind of new. It's kind of new. So yes. Okay. My podcast is called Fun Over 40. It's on Apple and Spotify. Instagram, I'm there. Kathy _Mead _Fronheiser. You can DM me with any, questions or anything like that. I do have a free 5-day protein challenge. So to my last point, the protein and the strength training. And I link to that in my Instagram bio, of course. And then it's also on my website, which is just my name, KathyMeadFronheiser.com. And that's also where you can find the Energy Boosters group. We have a wait list right now for our next group. So you can click and just join the wait list and, you'll be sent information when that gets going again.
Awesome. Yeah. We'll make sure that we'll have all of those links in the show notes. So you guys can just click on the show notes and get yourself all these awesome resources that you have for us. And I always like to end with a few fun questions just to get to know you better.
Yes.
And so what is your favorite way to self-care?
I luckily live in a beautiful, like, historical neighborhood.
Oh, I
And
love
so
that.
I love to just take, I mean, obviously I love exercise. I love to just take long walks, though. I've really gotten into long walks, especially
Yeah.
post surgery. That's all I've been able to do. So that's been very, like, therapeutic, both
Yeah.
physically and mentally. But luckily, I'm just in a beautiful neighborhood, too, where I can just, like, meet little neighborhood kitty cats and see pretty houses and beautiful, like, people keep their lawns so pretty and, just that kind of stuff. So
Yes.
long
I love
walks.
that. And how you're finding the beauty in everything. That makes a
Yes.
difference and
Yes.
making it fun.
Yes.
And
Yes.
curious, are you a Starbucks girl? And if so, what is your drink?
Yes. Let me tell you, they got rid of my favorite drink. I saw your
No
question and I was
way.
like, let me tell you about the
Let me
eggnog
tell you about
latte.
this.
Let me tell you, eggnog latte is my favorite. Starbucks, I
That
love
is
it.
good.
I'm an eggnog, I think eggnog, you either love it or hate it. It's like black licorice,
Yep.
right? So I love an eggnog latte. They don't have it anymore. So I've started making them at home, Starbucks. Thank you very much. But my regular order is honestly, I just do a regular latte with whole milk. It feels very luxurious with the whole milk.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm getting fancy, like some whipped cream on top. So that's it. Hot,
Wow.
hot latte, hot
Always hot.
latte,
Yep.
always hot.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yum. Whole milk with whipped cream. I'm gonna have to add that to my treat day.
Yeah.
That sounds
It's just the whipped cream.
amazing.
Something about the whipped cream. I mean, like a regular latte is kind of like whatever. I mean, because I don't even do any kind of sweetener or anything like that. But then like the whipped cream just gives it a little zhuzh.
Um, okay, how about what is how do you stay motivated? I'm curious, I'm really
Yes.
excited to hear your answer on this one with what you do, but how do you stay motivated on the days that you're just not feeling it?
Well, it's funny. When I saw this, I was thinking like business wise, actually, not like health and
Hmm.
fitness wise. So I
Yeah,
said, when I was prepping for this interview, I thought my first thought, I just went with my first thought was like brain dumping. Because a lot of times when I'm not
yeah,
motivated, it's just because I have too much in my head. And because
yep,
I'm the type where if I overwhelm, I shut down. That's me.
yeah,
Whereas, some people
yep.
they overwhelm and they start going. They start just doing. I overwhelm and I shut down. So I said brain dump and take a nap.
That is genius. I love that.
It's almost like it's exhausting, like when you're really feeling
Yeah,
that overwhelm and like you just get it all out, it's this like almost release in a way. And so then
yes.
I just need to like take a break,
And
like
then
take a
take a
nap
nap.
or
That's so true. There's so much. I'm reading so much lately about just the power of our subconscious too, and like
yes,
asking open-ended questions and knowing that like while you're sleeping, like our brain is working and all these
yes,
different things. And so
yes,
that's really powerful to add a
yeah,
nap after brain dump. I
yes,
think we need to start adding that to
right.
our retreats.
Well,
Now
because
it's
then I
nap
can
time,
come
everybody.
back. It's almost like then you're in your brain is that stuff you dumped, like subconsciously
Yes.
to your point, and then you
Yep.
sleep on it. Maybe it's sleeping overnight, whatever, you know what I'm saying, but then
Yeah.
sleep. And then you wake up refreshed and you can kind of come back to that brain dump with new eyes, rested
Yes.
eyes, and then start
Yeah.
piecing it apart into like, okay, what do I really, what are the steps now that I need to take and when am I going to do it and put it in your planner or whatever you do. You know what I'm saying? I have to
Yes. Oh,
break
I
things
love that.
down really like step by step by step. Anyway,
Yes.
that's me.
I love that so much. You have
Yeah.
so many powerful tips that I know anyone could listen to today's episode and pick just one thing and get a huge
Yeah.
win right away from
Good.
everything you've shared. So thank you so much for being
Yes.
here, and
Yes.
we'll talk with you soon.
Thanks, Amber.